Cloudflare under pressure today as investors focus on the company's revenue guidance, which came up short of analyst estimates. Sticky inflation, high interest rates, intense competition, all playing a role in that outlook. Joining us now in an exclusive interview is Cloudflare CEO and co-founder Matthew Prince. It's great to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Morgan.
So that's exactly where I want to start with you. The fact that the outlook for Q4 was softer than analysts had been anticipating. Why, especially given the fact that you did put up such a strong Q3, including a record amount of large customers?
Yeah, I think that we're going through a process where we're rebuilding our sales team in order to make sure that we've got the right talent on board to service the larger and larger customers that are coming to Cloudflare in order to make sure that they're fast, safe, reliable everywhere in the world. We've done that successfully in Asia and Europe, which posted record quarters. We're now in the process of doing that in North America, and I think we had a couple of deals that slipped out of the quarter. Those are still closing. We're not actually seeing competitive pressure. We're not seeing anything in the macro. All of these are things that are very much under our control, and I think what we see is an inflection point that sets us up incredibly well for 2025 and the years ahead.
And you've been revamping your sales department really for the past year and a half, so it sounds like that process continues.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the end of that process, but when we've brought on incredible sales leaders like Mark Anderson, who had opportunities to be CEOs at other places and came and really bet the next stage of his career on Cloudflare. The people who are coming to lead that sales team have set us up to continue to sell to more and more enterprises. And today, we're up to 35% of the Fortune 500 using Cloudflare in order to make sure their networks are fast, safe, and reliable everywhere in the world. And we want to make sure that every major company is relying on our network in order to get the benefits that we can deliver and make sure that we have the team that can satisfy those needs.
When I think about cybersecurity, I think about a secular growth trend. So when I hear you say that there's nothing in the macro, how much would the macro actually matter? And what does that mean for how you're looking to 2025 and beyond?
I think the macro matters at various times. I mean, we certainly saw a year and a half ago when the IT spending environment really just froze up across the board. So we're not completely insulated from that, but I think we are more insulated than most. Cybersecurity tends to be a must-have, not a nice-to-have, and Cloudflare is the leader in network cybersecurity. We are finding that we're able to continue to close business even when there are difficult times in the macro environment. But right now, I think we've actually seen a real stabilization in the macro environment. We don't see it getting significantly better or significantly worse, but it's an environment that we think we can perform in when we have the right team in place.
Okay. You also play a very key role in election cybersecurity. So what did you see as we now come out the other side of that?
Yeah, I have to confess, this is my last stop on what's been a very busy week. But our team was on call 24/7 for the last 2 months, protecting election security. Both the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign were customers, but I think even more importantly than that, more than half of U.S. states, most of the so-called battleground states, rely on Cloudflare's Athenian project, which is a service that we provide at no cost to anyone who's helping administer an election in the United States in order to protect them from attacks. And there were attacks. In fact, we saw a very dramatic increase in the first week of November, targeting specifically election security or election sites around the world. We saw more attacks in the first week of November than we did in all of September and October combined. But nothing out of the usual, nothing that was that caused us great concern. But we're proud of the fact that we helped make sure that the election went off without a hitch, that cybersecurity was not part of the story. And I want to just thank all of the Cloudflare team who stood by to make sure that we made sure that democracy wasn't impacted by cyber attacks.
So what does a second Trump administration potentially mean for the company and for the industry more broadly? I've seen a number of analyst notes in the last couple of days saying, listen, you're going to have to fortify and strengthen the cyber fortresses around industrial bases and around key strategic infrastructure, anything that's a national security priority. Is your expectation that you're going to see much more focus on that?
Yeah, I think as I said, both the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign were customers, and I wanted to congratulate President-elect Trump on his election victory and also acknowledge the hard-fought campaign that Vice President Harris went through, and we're proud of the fact that we could help protect both of them. I think that while politics is partisan, cybersecurity is not. And we have worked very closely with the Biden administration. We worked with the previous Trump administration, the Obama administration before that, in order to make sure that our nation has the cybersecurity that it needs, that our critical infrastructure has that protection. And actually don't think there's going to be that much of a change for a business like ours. We expect that we'll work closely with the Trump administration to make sure that U.S. infrastructure is protected in any way needed, and that we will continue to provide our services to protect the most critical parts of our system, including the democratic functioning of our election.